Good morning student. Today we will discuss about the next chapter, that is the cell. Few things we had already discussed, but then also I will give the quick revision of that and we will move to the further topics. Okay. So the cell, the structural and the functional unit of life. Why it is called structural and functional unit of life? As the single cell can do all the functions, can perform all the functions like respiration, circulation, reproduction, and so on. So all the functions are being performed by a single cell. This is the reason it is called functional unit of life. Okay. If we talk about amoeba, amoeba do the digestion, amoeba do the respiration, amoeba do the reproduction. So a single cell is doing all the function. Now structural unit of life, because the cells combine to form tissue and tissue combine to form organ and then organ system and organism. So it is also giving the structure to the organism. This is the reason it is called structural and functional unit of life. Now microscope and its type. When we talk about the cell, how can we forget the microscope? With the help of the microscope only we have come to know about the cell and its structure. So this is very important to discuss. Now a microscope is an instrument used to see the objects that are too small to be seen by the naked eyes. So the things which we can't see by the naked eyes, we use the microscope for that. Light microscope, this was the first microscope used by the Robert Hooke to find out the structure of cell, and with the help of this only he had discovered the structure of cell. Next, the compound microscope. Compound microscope, today we people use this compound microscope. It is a little bit more complicated than the light microscope, and this compound microscope also gives a fine structure of a small organism or a cell. Electron microscope, it's give a very clear and a big structure on the screen so that a very small things can be observed easily with the help of the electron microscope. So these are about the microscopes. With the help of that we are able to know about the structure of the cell. So this is the structure of a compound microscope. So in the compound microscope you can see the many leveling has been done. We will start with the base. The base, or it is also known by the name foot, on which the microscopes stand properly. That is the base. Inclination joint. With the joint the microscope can be tilted by the a few angles, okay, like now it is at the 90 degree, it can be made at 60 degree, it can be made at 70 degree. So this inclination joint provide it's the incline plane. Okay, the mirror is there, the mirror do the reflection. So this mirror, what happens, the light which falls on the mirror, so it reflect and give a proper light to the slide so that the things can be observed properly. Condenser, this condenser is having the lens, objective is having the lens. Okay, the revolving nose piece. So there are three objective lens. We use the lens according to the power it is having and according to the organism or the cell we have to observe. So it can be rotated, so it revolves. All right, now the body tip, you can see the eyepiece from where we see, and this is the stage and clip. You can see a clip like structure above the condenser. There is a stage, rectangular stage is there where we fix the slide. Okay, so on this stage we fix the slide and the slide should not move. With that, for that what we use the clip which is present on the slide, so you people can see the clip also. After that, course adjustment is there. So with the help of this adjustment, this body tubes moves along with the nose piece. Okay, so the body tube moves along with the nose piece with the help of this coarse adjustment. Fine adjustment is used to make the image more clear. So this is how the compound microscope is working, and these are the parts of the compound microscope. So when we are talking about a cell, how can we forget the basic characters of a cell? Yes, for anything the basic character is required, so cell also have a basic character. With the help of that we can identify whether the given thing is a cell or not. For that, the first thing, a cell should have a limiting plasma membrane. So for a first character, the cell should have a limiting plasma membrane, then only we can consider it as a cell. Second thing, the cell should have a genetic material to pass the character from one generation to another generation. And third thing, a cell should have a cytoplasm and the organelles to perform all the functions smoothly. So if all the functions will be done smoothly, then only what will happen? All the metabolic activities in the cell will take place and the further growth of the cell will be there. So these are the three things which a cell should have and which is kept under the basic character of a cell. So when we have talked about the cell, we will discuss about the cell theory also. Cell theory. Now in the cell theory, there was a three person who had given the cell theory. Now I will explain you what was the statement given by the three different persons. Matthias Jakob Sladen. So he was a German botanist who proposed that all plants are made up of cell. So this is the date given, his birth and his death date is given in the bracket. So Matthias Jakob Sladen, he was a German botanist who proposed that all plants are made up of cells. So whatever the plants are there in the world, they are made up of cells, and this was given in 1938. Another person was Theodor Savon. So he was also a German physician and a psychologist. Okay, sorry, German physician and physiologist. He was a German physician and physiologist, proposed that all animals are made up of cell. So whatever the animals are there in the world, they are made up of cell, and this statement was given in 1939. Okay, and there was a person, Rudolf Virchow, who proposed that omni cellula e cellula, that every cell arises from another cell. That means pre-existing cell. Every new cells arise from pre-existing cell. So these 3 points was given by the three different person, and after that all these 3 points was combined together and they were kept under a single category, that is the cell theory. So cell theory was proposed in 1939, as the Matthias has given in 1938. Theodor Savon, he had given his statement in 1939, and Rudolf Virchow in 1855. So all three statements was combined and made the cell theory. So the cell theory says that all plants are made up of cell, all animals are made up of cell, and cell comes from the cell. Now the points will be in this way. All plants and animals are made up of cell. This is the first point. Cell is the structural and functional unit of life. This is the second point. And the third point of the cell theory is that every cell, every new cell arises from pre-existing cell. Okay. So the third point of the cell theory is that every new cell arises from the pre-existing cell. So this was the statement of the cell theory. Now we will discuss about the types of cells. On the basis of nuclear organization, the cell was divided in two types, prokaryotic and eukaryotic. See, this prokaryotic and eukaryotic cell is having their own meanings. Okay, pro means before and karyotic means the nucleus. So the cell which was formed before the formation of the nucleus was termed as prokaryotic. After that, eukaryotic, the cell which formed with the true nucleus. Here the U means the true and the karyotic means the nucleus. So the cell which developed with the true nucleus is termed as eukaryotic. Now we will see the differences between the prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. As pro was before, so it will be less advanced than the eukaryotic. The things which is made first, so less advancement is there. For example, a mobile phone. The first mobile phone, if you will see that it was a button phone, and it was only used for talking, for doing the conversation, and can be carried anywhere. That is the main thing for the mobile phone, that we can have the conversation anywhere. So but now if we will keep the today's smartphone in the front of that, which is having all the types of apps, it is equipped with the equipped with the all types of apps and working properly. Okay, not only used for the conversation but for the many purpose it is used. Today you can see that with the help of that I am making video. So this is the first was is not much advanced, but the second whatever is made after that is more advanced than the pre one. Now we will discuss about the differences between prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Prokaryotic very minute size, eukaryotic comparatively larger than it. Prokaryotic will not have the nucleus or the nuclear region, but the eukaryotic will have. Prokaryotic contains single chromosome which passes the character from one generation to another, but eukaryotic contain more than one chromosome. Nucleolus is absent in prokaryotic and nucleolus is present in eukaryotic. Membrane bounded organelles are absent in prokaryotic like mitochondria, Golgi apparatus, all these are not present in prokaryotic, but all these organelles are present in eukaryotic. Multiplication is by either fission or budding, but the cell division is by mitosis or meiosis. This is the process by which the cell divides. These are two types. Cell walls present which are chemically complex in the prokaryotic, but in the eukaryotic the cell wall is present but they are chemically simpler, mostly made up of sugar or carbohydrate or starch. Okay, cell type is usually unicellular, the prokaryotic is unicellular and eukaryotic is the multicellular. Size it is very small, that is 1 to 10 nanometer, and here the size is 10 to 100 nanometer. Example, all the bacteria will come under the prokaryotic and archaebacteria, blue green algae, etc., and rest of the cells will come under the eukaryotic category. So this is all for today. We will discuss the rest of the topics in the next class.